Welcome to Mocha Money Monday. I'm Ashley Scott, and today my guest is Nicole Lewis, the founder of Grant University. This young lady has over 20 years of experience in both real estate, small businesses, consulting. She is a nonprofit industry leader, and she's helped create over 100 jobs and has administrated over $500 million to assist organizations to increase their capacity. So when I tell you that Miss Lewis is somebody that you want to know and who you want to glean as much knowledge from, you want to do this. This is not her first time on Mocha Money Mondays. We are excited to have her as a member of our Phenomenal Hughes Global Network. She is a coach, and she is going to be sharing with us today how to be procurement ready. So I'm going to go ahead and swing it over to our special guest today, Miss Nicole Lewis. Hey, Nicole.
Hey, good morning, Ashley. Thank you for having me here today.
Yes.
For those of you who don't know me, again, I am Nicole Lewis with Grant University, and we do specialize in providing technical support to businesses and organizations in their pursuit of funding through grants, fundraising, and procurement opportunities. We're going to talk about procurement today. I've heard a couple of previous guests talk about, and it's no secret that the DIA dollars are dwindling. But
Yes.
The question is why? And so for those of you who are here today, I'd love to hear from you in the chat. We'll talk about some of the reasons, but I do from time to time get asked by these supplier diversity and inclusion officers, like, why aren't we participating? So I'll discuss some reasons. If you guys have some reasons, would love to hear, and I'll pass it along to the powers that be and to see how we can get you some support in those areas if there's deficiencies or weaknesses in the system. That sound fair?
That sounds fair to me, Nicole.
So without further ado, for those of you who are here, this is an excellent opportunity for you to network and meet other professionals here in other industries. Some may do something similar to you. Some may have reach in other areas that you don't. So please take a minute if you're here today, put your information in the chat. Put your information on the chat even when the video is shared. People do go back and watch the videos. We can network with each other. Use your time wisely. This is a great time and a great opportunity for you to meet other people, partners, allies, mentors. So do use this time and this opportunity and don't miss it. So do we have anything in the chat that we want to do, or any shout outs that we want to do today before we start, Ashley, or you want me to just proceed?
Well, we always like to shout out Wellson's Financial. If you're looking for financial services, if you're looking to start crowdfunding, Wellson's Financial is the go-to source for everything you need to become a bankable business, as well as our Phenomenal Hughes Global Network. Join our social site at phenomenalhughes.com so you, again, can stay in the know and join the conversation outside of our Mocha Money Monday podcast. So let's talk about procurement, Miss Nikki.
All right. Okay, let's get into it. So let's talk about a few of the reasons. So there are a lot of reasons why businesses may not be participating in these supplier diversity programs. And some of them include just lack of awareness. And that's one of the reasons that we're here today. They don't know that they're here or the benefits of them. Some other reasons include resources. Participating in the programs often require time and effort, and sometimes there's a barrier to entry, but we're going to try to overcome that today as well. Perception of complexity is kind of what I was speaking about, where some businesses might perceive the application process is difficult, or the requirements or participation are complex or burdensome. Now, I will say the examples that I'm going over today and the steps that I'm using today and the guidance that I'm providing today is basically or mostly based on the state of Florida, where I'm located. It may also include some in Illinois and North and South Carolina, some Georgia. I tried to provide a high-level overview of all of the things that you may need to kind of make it clear, kind of what you should have in your checklist when you begin to make this application, so it can be as seamless as possible and kind of just one step, and you don't have to go back and save your application and begin again. But anyway, other reasons include prioritization, which sometimes they have other opportunities that just take too much time. And they don't have the capacity to go after these kinds of opportunities. But I hope that I can show you today that some of these opportunities are going to come to you once you get registered and you provide the appropriate information. Most of these portals will provide you a notification of upcoming opportunities that might be in your wheelhouse that you can easily kind of just apply for and then, participate. Culture of resistance. Let's just face it, folks. As a culture, we kind of, the government, everybody doesn't really feel like they don't want them in their business, in their books. And so there is some resistance there to these inclusion activities. What are they really trying to do? There's a little bit of resistance there. So we do have to kind of address that and be real about that also.
Absolutely.
So the real question for today is, are you positioned for a procurement opportunity? And, what does that look like for you and your business? So hopefully we can kind of identify some of the opportunities that are out here and the steps that you would need to kind of participate in a general way in these programs, and provide kind of a high level overview of the type of documentation that's required for participation. And then even if you want to take a step further with certification as a minority or a woman-owned or a veteran-owned business. Fair enough?
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Okay, so first let's talk a little bit about what procurement opportunities are. And they are ways of identifying potential business partnerships, collaborations, or acquisitions that can help your company grow and expand its reach. Specifically, today we're talking about government contracts, and that may include your local city, your state, your county, or the federal government. But it involves usually a bidding process or an opportunity analysis to help you demonstrate your capacity to supply the goods or the services or to work under a public or private contract. Did I speak too quickly, or does everybody understand what that? So I'll just say it one more time. So the procurement opportunity involves a bidding process or an opportunity analysis to demonstrate your interest and capacity to supply the goods, services, or works under a public or private contract. While it's not the topic for today, I do also want to make a note that procurement opportunities can also include purchasing goods or services or construction from the government through the federal contracting process. So we've kind of defined it. We've talked about the benefits and why we should be doing it. And that's what we're going to get into today. Stability and predictability. I can talk today. Government contracts provide a stable and predictable source of revenue, which can be extremely valuable for small and minority-owned businesses who face more uncertainty in the private sector. I mean, would you agree, Ashley?
I completely agree. When I think about all of the things that are happening right now with corporations not choosing DEI and supplier diversity, governments are a great way to secure that consistent income flow. They project what they're going to be spending in advance, right? Annually, they come up with budgets. So you can
some people call
plan.
that A paper. It's
Yeah,
like,
right.
check might be slow sometimes, but it's definitely coming. So
Absolutely.
yeah, and that gives you something to count on, because they do take some time to project their income. Most funding cycles usually happen for the previous year, and they're talking about in this right now what they're doing for 25 and 26.
Yes, right.
So you know that sometimes when you do get these contracts, it is important to note that this may be a future project. It may not be money right now, but it's money that you can put in your budget for the future.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason is access to larger markets. Government contracts can provide access to larger markets that minority-owned businesses might not otherwise be able to penetrate. Credentialing and reputation. Winning government contracts can enhance your credibility and reputation. It demonstrates the potential in partners that a reputable business has vetted and has approved in the business. You also have these capacity building opportunities where you're required to meet these certain standards, but they often have officers to help you meet these standards. If that means get a greater threshold on your insurance requirements, or you might have bonding requirements that you weren't previously required for. They have officers to help walk you through those steps, and partners to help you get those opportunities, which open up other doors for other opportunities outside of your government contracts. They also are often required to have minority participation. So sometimes your lack of participation means the deal is delayed, or an opportunity or project is delayed because they don't have enough participation to proceed. A lot of these fundings and set-aside programs, they have specific set-asides for specific parts of town or census tracts, in addition to specific requirements from, veteran-owned or minority-owned or small business or women-owned business participation. So that's another reason. And then there's this other, just the community impact. These government contracts will positively impact the communities that are served. It creates job opportunities, and it can stimulate economic growth and contribute to the overall well-being of these sometimes underserved communities. So this is why we should be participating. And for those of us who aren't, let's go ahead and make a decision today to try to get started. Do we have any questions or anything before I can proceed?
Yeah, no, I think one of the questions that I would ask is, and maybe you're going to talk about this a little bit later, is how do we get into these portals or to find these information of where we should be getting this information for bidding on these federal and state and county contracts?
That's an excellent question. So most of your states will have a division of corporations. They will also have a diversity inclusion office at the state and also at the county level in most of these cases. So for the state of Florida, through the division of corporations, they actually have a link to, and they have actually promoted some of the diversity inclusion options, and that they've kind of made it very easy. I always start with Google and say, how do I get registered as a vendor with my state? It'll pull you up to the correct site. One caveat I will say is most states don't charge a registration fee. It's usually a free service. Sometimes they do charge for the payment portal side. When they send you your contract, they charge you a small servicing fee that they keep that comes out of the check that they send you. But generally speaking, there is no cost to apply for these programs. So if you do see there is a fee or registration, I'd be very leery, and then I would just check with someone that you know and trust. You can reach out to any of the coaches here at Phenomenal Heals. Will help you and validate and make sure that this is the appropriate portal for your state. I started with the Division of State Corporations in Florida. From there, it takes you to, I'll tell you exactly what it's called on our level. Some of the names change just a little bit. And it's the state procurement system, and it's managed by state of Florida. Let's see what it says. Division of Corporations. So if you're not able to find it through Google, please reach out to me. I will help, and I will make sure that we find you and get you plugged into the appropriate resource. But usually when you start with your state level with the very first step, it'll usually provide you the additional resources. So the Division of Corporations is usually the first requirement to have an active registration with your state. So for the state of Florida, we use SunBiz. You can register online with any county, but you have to have an active registration with the state as a business or corporation, an LLC, limited partnership, however you incorporated yourself or started your business. You can even do DBAs on our state division of corporation sites and fictitious names, but you do have to be registered with the state. The next step is to begin an active registration in the vendor portal. I will say that Florida has two difference. It depends on the threshold. Contracts under $35,000, you have My Florida Marketplace. Above $35,000, you have to have a vendor information portal. It's a second step for the larger contracts. They put the smaller contracts in kind of a more general area, and then the larger contracts that require a little bit more capacity in a separate portal. So know that your state may have various portals depending on the level of, oh, thank you. You can't find it in Virginia. Okay, we'll make sure you get it if that's not the correct link. Looks like someone put it in there. Most are going to require SAM's registration, which is Systems for Award Management. That is a federally government regulated site. For most of you, if you don't have one, you can visit sams.gov. They're most likely looking for your CAGE code, which is a special designation or code that's provided by SAMS once you register with them. Again, there is no fee for these services. If someone is charging you to register for SAMS, they're just creating an economic development opportunity for themselves, but there is no fee associated with your SAMS registration. But it will ask you to create, or it will ask you to provide, before it gives you a CAGE code, a UEI number, which was recently replaced by the DUNS number. UEI stands for Unique Entity Identifier. And I will say that one of these barriers is a lot of the lingo and verbiage that people use in these kind of fields. And I think they can be intentionally confusing, but you can use Google again, and you can use your resources to try to find out what these words and these acronyms mean so that you're not left out, like RFP versus RFQ versus ITB. As an example, most people don't know that I was looking for the RFQ, or I was looking for the RFP, but they sent out an ITB, and a lot of them are the same. ITB would be an invitation to bid. An RFQ would be a request for qualifications, and an RFP would be a request for proposal. You may have to do the RFQ before you get eligible for the RFP or the ITB. But if you're not following these steps, or if you're unaware of what these terms mean, you may not be participating in these opportunities also. So that's another reason why we're here today. Something else they might ask for is E-Verify, if that's current. So E-Verify is Homeland Security, basically saying that you're not operating illegally and hiring illegal employees or doing anything illegal with your employees in your business. Most will ask for a W-9 form or have some substitute W-9 form that they'll want you to complete in order to do business. And that means that you have to have an EIN number or a DUNS number or a UEI number. Are there any questions so far? In the chat, send DUNS info, absolutely. And then it looks like this link is for Virginia. We can confirm. Usually if it's .gov and it has the HTTPS, usually the correct site. S means secure, and .gov means they're really going to be in trouble if they're trying to mess you up on their site.
That's true.
Other little caveats, your information, make sure that it's accurate and current. An email address you're actually going to check. They will email you opportunities once you get set up correctly, and you may get special preferences based on some of the things that you select also. So make sure that if you do sign up that you're providing the correct information. Also for payment and billing, if you have that information correct on the front end, it's easy to kind of just move forward, because they do validate that information when you are awarded the contract and you kind of want it to be consistent. So if you wanted to go to your PO box, keep it your PO box. If you need to go to your office, kind of make it your office. That makes sense.
Yeah, for sure.
One of the things they ask for is commodity codes, and those can kind of be a little confusing. So I'm just going to briefly talk about the three most common ones that we use. Your municipality or government may ask for something different, but I'm just going to try to explain them really quickly if we have time. Am I doing good on time?
We have 3 minutes, so.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So SIC codes really quick, 2468 is really the difference. The SIC code is kind of the original 4-digit code started in the 30s. The NICS code, they added 2 more digits to make it a little bit more specific. Now the United Nations has one. You might see that now is the UNSPSC code. Bottom line is they break it down by segment, family, class to kind of make it more general or specific. Just know that you may qualify for more codes or just check your codes, but also know that it can make or break the eligibility or qualification for some opportunities. It can determine risk or can be used, the code can be used to determine risk on lending and also insurance requirements. And It might also be helpful for you to locate other partners for other opportunities. If you're not eligible, you might want to look out for other vendors. You can do a search for vendors in your areas or potential partners. So like say, for example, you do office supplies and you do staplers, you might take out two numbers and figure out who the other office or desk office supplier sellers are, and you can do something with them if you want to do something with them. Finally, the last couple of things that they really ask for is some kind of attestation. So if you're, sometimes they want to know if you're convicted of certain crimes or have not been convicted of certain crimes, if you have an anti-discriminatory policy in place, if your business or license has been suspended or any way, or if you violated any antitrust laws in any way historically. So if we had more time, and maybe next time, if I'm invited back, I'll talk a little bit about these certification requirements, because I'm sorry, but just to know, for you veterans out here, make sure you have your DD 214 form. If you're service disabled, your service disability letter. Women, we can use your SBA 8 form for almost everything. That will kind of get you clear all the way through. But if not, a birth certificate will do. A tribal registration card for those Native Americans out there, a U.S. passport or naturalization records, or your foreign birth certificate. They will also probably want your LLC documents and all of the other documents that you've provided previously, but I'll be happy to provide any additional information and follow up with my notes. So Ashley, if you want to get it out there, I'm sorry. I talked.
No, wait, no need to be sorry. You've given us such great information today. People are going to be able to search for their city and state's procurement registry and be able to really get into how they can start to do business with the government because of what you shared today, Miss Nikki. So thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have our guests here on Mocha Money Mondays. You just got done hearing from Nicole Lewis of Grant University. You can continue the conversation by visiting phenomenalhues.com. You can also stay connected with us and stay connected with our guests each and every Monday when we have our Mocha Money Monday podcast. You can listen to them on our website. Again, visit phenomenalhues.com. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thank you so much, Ms. Lewis, for being here. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.